Hey everyone, DSR here, with a review for the Stark Jegan. This is my Secret Santa gift that I received, and I had a lot of fun building it, as you saw in the time-lapse video. I apologize for the missing part there. When I was recording, the app actually crashed. I think my phone was dying or something while I was doing it, so the app crashed, and I had to start a second time-lapse when I realized that it had stopped, which is a minute later or so. So that's why you don't see kind of the rest of the assembly. But yeah, so apologies for the little technical difficulties. There wasn't much I could do since it had already stopped and I didn't realize it. I had already put the stuff together, and there was kind of no going back on that one. But you saw at the end of the time-lapse what he looks like with everything put on him, and I have some of the stuff taken off for purposes of showing what he looks like with and without the added armor. Now you can see right here, this is what the extra leg armor looks like. Now this doesn't peg on anywhere on the leg, as you can see. It's totally flush. There's no extra pegs or anything, which is not the case on the shoulder armor. Now the only way this goes on is by friction. It just kind of sits on, and I'll show you right now. It's just three pieces: the front armor piece, the back kind of clasp slides on there, and then the side piece with the thruster, and that pegs in right here. So we'll just go ahead and put this on. You can see it's very easy to do. Once you get it all the way around, it just sits on there, and then this pegs on. Now it's a little loose. I imagine it's similar to like the optional missile racks on the Zaku 2s. I don't have that kit yet. I've been meaning to get one, but I imagine it's kind of the same thing with the friction. It's just wrapped around the wider part of the leg, right above it, so it just sits right on there. It doesn't move up or down or anything. It's just on there. But it's a little shaky. It's a little loose, but it's definitely not going to go anywhere. It's not going to fall off. Now the other extra armor is the forearm pieces. Now, as you can see, this arm does not have a forearm piece on there right now, and it probably won't, because unfortunately, while trying to remove it before I shot the video, I thought that this peg on the back of his arm was like the standard circular peg on like the GMs with a polycap inside, and it's been about 2 weeks since I actually built this. Sorry for ruining the, killing the illusion or anything. But, yeah, so while I was pulling it off, it wasn't working for me going this way, so I started wiggling it back and forth, and lo and behold, it popped off just fine without the peg. It was stuck inside, halfway pulled out, so I had to remove it. But, yeah, it still will fit around, and I'll still show you. It's just these three pieces. They just sit in with friction, and then normally it pegs right into the back, and it stays like so. Now it's not going to stay. But you can see on this one, it's very solid. I'm tugging on it, and it's not going anywhere. You could pop the sides off, kind of, but even those are on pretty well. Now, I think he comes with an extra hand, with a standard open hand like this one. Whoops, don't want to mess with the camera for this hand, but honestly, you're probably never going to use it except for with the beam saber. I don't know what I did with it. It's on my desk somewhere, but I can't really be bothered to find it right now. It's too much of a mess, and I'll probably end up grabbing the wrong hand anyways. Yeah, so the beam saber that he comes with is really tiny. I'll show you. It's really short and stocky. Once you get it in the hand, you can see it just barely pokes out the back. It's not like the GM's beam sabers that are quite a bit longer, like so. You can see it's quite a bit shorter. But yeah, the beam sabers that come with this guy are almost like the 00 beam sabers. They're a lot longer. This one's kind of bent actually, and they're flat on two sides instead of being rounded. They're the kind of flat model. You know what? I grabbed the wrong beam here. They're the flatter kind, and I think they're actually a wider peg than the standard beam saber for most UC kits. Now, why are these all loose? Oh well, it must just be this beam saber handle. But yeah, they're a lot longer, and so are the pegs. The pegs are quite a bit longer and thicker all the way around. So I actually am having trouble getting this beam saber back off. I don't want to break the peg off inside of it. But it's quite a big saber, so it looks good. I think he used this in the OVA, the one time that they show the Stark Jegan. But yeah, he comes with two of those beam sabers, the longer ones. I want to say, yeah, one of them's longer and one of them's shorter. So one of them's pretty long. The other one's still longer than your standard beam saber. So yeah, we got quite a bit of variation here. His other accessory is this beam rifle. I really like the design of this. A lot of kits have this same beam rifle. I have another one that I'm customizing, and that one has a movable handle. This one does not. This one is molded in, which kind of sucks. I would have preferred to have one that moves, because this kind of looks like a magazine, and it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be the energy capsules. So yeah, that was a little bit of a disappointment, but you know, not much you can do about that. Now, so I showed off the arm and leg armor. The other additional armor is the shoulder armor here. Let's move it back. Now, the rocket launcher is extremely nice. I really like the design. It's simplistic. It's you know, basically just a really long barrel. It's actually a really long one. Let's see. This is the older RX-78 rocket launcher and like the GM rocket launcher. Oops. So yeah, you can see it's quite a bit bigger. It's a lot wider around and a lot longer too. So yeah, but as you can see, it fits pretty much flush with his shoulder armor here, which I really appreciate. So it looks really good. The handle, it moves around a little bit, and it's also got this really nice camera on the side for the targeting. But we'll look at that again in a minute. And you can see on the shoulder armor, it's got some really nice detail here that you don't see underneath the extra armor. But you do have these slits here, which is where the extra armor plugs into. Now it's pretty simple. It's just these two pieces, and when you do plug them in, you'll see it. It kind of makes the shoulder armor a lot wider, front and back wise. You can see that, but it also kind of provides this surface up here. Now, the rocket pods or missile pods or whatever, these racks, sorry, I need to move this a lot farther back to get it on camera properly here. They're exactly the same. They even got the sensor on the same side. So they're identical builds. Come on now, pop it off. So either way, you can put either of them on either side, it doesn't matter. They've got the same holes on the bottom. So they're pretty universal. Plug right in. Oh, come on now. That one's just being a pain. And even with these huge missile pods on here, you can still use the rocket launcher as advertised on the box. Just like so, you can tuck it under his arm. I really like the look of that. And top it all off, you can throw his beam saber in his hand. So yeah, all in all, it's a really awesome looking kit. It was a lot of fun to build. I haven't really dealt with a Jegan before. I've been mostly a GM guy. He's got decent articulation. You know, his arm only goes about yay far. It's not double jointed like a lot of the GMs are, but he's got some pretty good articulation, as you can kind of see. It's a lot of fun to pose, even though most of the poses are just kind of static, flying poses or whatever, kind of like that. But even in just a standard standing pose, he looks really cool and pretty intimidating. The backpack is really nice too, with these movable thrusters that can go up about yay far if you really want them up that high, about that far down, and this one can go up and down just like that. He's got this huge thruster module back here. He's got a huge rear skirt too. So yeah, it was definitely a fun kit. It looks great on the shelf, looks great on a stand. I don't have, oh yes I do have a stand actually. So let's just go ahead and plug them onto this. I'm sure you're only going to be able to see like half the dang kit once I get it posed, but we'll do it anyway. There we go. So yeah, it's an awesome looking model kit, and I definitely recommend getting it if you like Jegans, or even if you like the GM series. He's pretty big. You can see him next to the Nemo here. It's not really a fair comparison because he's on a stand, but still, you can see how much bigger he is. He's got some awesome accessories. The beam rifle is really nice to have, even if it's just an extra. The rocket launcher is awesome. Missile pods are huge and intimidating, and the extra armor looks really nice on him.